Hello everyone, it's Larika here. I'm a little bit late with this video. We're already almost the middle of January, but hey, rather late than never, as they say. So I'm going to talk a bit about what I read during December and what I plan for, but I'm already reading and focusing on in January. So December, I read quite a decent amount in December. I feel quite good about myself with that. I'm going to start with a book that I didn't finish though. It was Anne Rice's Blackwood Farm. I even had to look it up to remember what book it was called. I got it at the library and I started reading it, and I got maybe a third through it. I just couldn't anymore. So I decided to just skip it all and go to the end and finish it. And then I took it back to the library. I even had to renew the book. So yeah, so I didn't finish it. It wasn't that it wasn't good. I just think I wasn't in the right space for such a big chunky book in December, because there's so much going on in December that I didn't feel up to finish it. So yeah, I cheated a bit. I read the last chapter, and just to see what happened, and I took it back. So I probably won't read it again, but I'm glad I tried it. And then I read a Virginia Woolf essay, because I struggle a bit with Virginia Woolf. I really want to like her. And every time I try to read a book of hers, I have so many of her books because, she's Virginia Woolf, right? But I really, really struggle with her writing. So I think it was Philip from A Poet Likes to Read that suggested, he made a video once last year and suggested that if you struggle with Virginia Woolf, maybe start with an essay. So by accident, I came across an essay from her, and I read it and I really enjoyed the essay. So maybe that's my into Virginia Woolf. The essay was called A Decade of Essay Writing. It was written in 1905. And she writes about how at that time, too many people are writing kind of about themselves, but they're not truthful when they write about themselves. At least this is how I understood it. And she says they're not truthful or sincere. And if you are sincere when you write your essay, then, great, but too many people are not. And it made me think quite a bit about today's society, about, all these things we put forward. We put our best foot forward on the internet, right? We have all these social media platforms and all these things, and we don't really show the true us. We show a polished version of ourselves. So I thought a lot about that, and of course about writing. And for me as a writer myself, what is it that, how do I write? Am I sincere when I write? Am I truthful when I write? So it was really interesting essay. I will link it below for anybody who wants to read it. It's not long. It was very, very eye-opening. And then I also read A Christmas Carol with Candy from The Great Literary Rabbit Hole and Julie from, Bookish Travels. Julie from Bookish Travels. We did a buddy read of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and I enjoyed it. It was my first read of it. I've never watched any of the movies. It was a good book. So I good story. And then I also, what else? For Candy has this book reading challenge on Storygraph. And my last book that I read for the reading challenge, it had to be something with snow or ice on the cover. So I read Murder by Candlelight, 10 Classic Crime Stories for Winter. So I read this book for that, and yeah, it was nice. It was a good read. I enjoyed it. Not just light reading. And yeah, that was that. And for January, I have plans, but I'm going to talk about a book that actually I already read, and I'm going to talk about it now because I'm going to forget the feelings that I got from this book. I'm not sure if I started in December with it and I finished it early like a few days ago, but it's called Cape Fever by Nadia Davids, and it's out in hardcover, and it's coming out on 15th of January in paperback. And oh my gosh, this book made me cry. I cannot. I was devastated by this book. I honestly, it takes place in 1920s in Cape Town, South Africa, after World War One. I'm going to read the back. It's just like, I can't talk about it. It's just too emotional. 1920, a small unnamed city in a colonial empire. Soraya Matas believes she has found the ideal job as a personal maid to the eccentric Mrs. Hutton, whose beautiful decaying home is not far from the Muslim quarter where Soraya lives with her parents. As Soraya settles into her new role, she discovers that the house is alive with spirits. Mrs. Hutton offers to help Soraya stay in touch with her fiancé Noor by writing him letters on her behalf. So begins a strange weekly meeting where Soraya dictates and Mrs. Hutton writes, a ritual that binds the two women to one another and eventually threatens the sanity of both. My God, it made me see so many things about my country, South Africa, that I was completely oblivious and not even thinking of. So Mrs. Hutton is a British lady that moved to Cape Town from the UK, and she lived there for years. Her husband died, so she's a widow. She doesn't have much money, but everybody has somebody that works for them. So she hires this girl called Soraya, and Soraya comes from the Muslim quarter, and how these two interact, and the reality of the lives of the people that were coming in originally as slaves into South Africa from Asia was just, it was such a traumatic book. Oh, geez. And the reality of their lives, it was just horrible. Like literally, how did I not actually realize these things? I don't know. I mean, you don't think, right? You don't think. But it was a beautiful story. It was beautifully written. It was heart-wrenching, these two women, and how little respect or understanding, excuse me, Mrs. Hutton had for Soraya and her challenges. It was just heavy. So if you want to know a bit more about the history of South Africa and how things were during that time, and not just the Afrikaners and the local black population and the racism and apartheid from that, but the other side too, from the slaves that arrived in the Cape, and they came from Asia, and they have done so many beautiful things and contributed so much to the culture of my country, South Africa. But I don't think they are even really acknowledged. So this book just was just so beautiful. A comment from J.M. Coetzee, also a South African author, is so correct. It's like so true. He says, "The Cape Town that Nadia Davids summons up in her invaluable body of work is a riven, achingly sad place of shadows, quite unlike the comfortable, sleepy mother city of the colonial imagination." And it is so, so true. So true. An achingly sad place of shadows. That just... Anyway, this is a great book. It was just very hard to read. I might read it again, but not for years. I don't think I could cope with that. So that was January, December read. And then at the moment, I'm deep into Emily Dickinson. I have finally started with these two books that I have been wanting to get through. So I am reading them together. Let me just show you. I have the letters and I have all the poems that she wrote. So what I do, and both of these are broken into years, down into years. So the poems are displayed according to year. And so I read the poems of that year, all of them. It takes me a while. I'm like through there. And then when that year is finished, I go to the book of letters and I read the letters that she wrote that same year. So I can get an understanding of where she was. And it's just so beautiful the way she writes about nature and life, even religion. I mean, beautiful writing, just so beautiful. And the themes that she write about still is valuable today. Like I can still relate to everything she wrote, and she wrote this in the 1800s. I'm on 1862, and it's so relatable, and we are in 2026, right? So it's amazing writer. I have a lot more respect. I mean, I've read some of her poems, and the ones I have, I absolutely love, but this is beautiful. So yes. So yeah, that is basically my plan for the rest of this month, is just to focus on Emily Dickinson. And I'm so inspired by her that I'm making a handmade book with fabric and paper with her poetry in it and stitching, and it's just so inspiring for me. So thank you for listening. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of January. And I will speak to you all very soon. Bye for now.